Hello, hello, Laney, hush. Check, checkity check. Hope this sounds okay. I have no way of checking all levels. That should be good. Just. Alright, yeah, my camera's like 5-6 feet away. And I got a dehumidifier running in the next room. So, this is how we're doing it. Lav mic. Hola. It's your buddy Kevin here to talk about, introduce you to Veronica. Who's Veronica? Well, Veronica's my cinema rig. At her core, she is a Canon R5. It's their latest mirrorless release. Oh, forget my key component here. It's their latest mirrorless release. If you're looking, it's a hybrid camera. If you're looking for a photo camera, you can't do better right now. And I'll argue anybody who says different. But Laney, hush. So what I've done is I built it out into a cinema rig. I'm not really interested in doing photos with it anymore. It's how I got into things back in 2015. I've progressed into aspiring filmmaker rather than photographer. It's something new. It's a natural progression. And this is the perfect camera to make that transition, because we get 4K up to 120 frames a second. We get 4K HQ that's downsampled from 8K. We get 8K RAW. Now these modes, if you're using the memory card and the battery and stuff, 8K and 4K HQ and 4K 120 are going to overheat. That's going to come up later, and I'll explain how I fixed that. It's also got like 30-minute time limits, like a 25-minute time limit on the 4K HQ, and the 8K has got like a 7-minute time limit or something. And then the 4K 120, I don't know. It's all got time limits, which is just Canon cripple hammer is what we call it. It's their way of crippling these cameras so that they're not full. You have to buy something off their cinema line if you want to go into video making. But I've gotten around that with the Atomos Ninja 5. It can record 4K HQ up to 60 frames a second, which is everything I need. Normal stuff is shot in 24 frames a second. You want to shoot in slow-mo, you go to 60. This camera can do 120, so I can do even super slow-mo. If I want to do 8K or super slow-mo, I'll just pop the memory card in, record them real quick, pop it out. Otherwise, I'm recording on the Atomos. So it has an RF mount, being that it's a mirrorless camera. They switched from the EF to the RF mount, which is how the lens attaches to the camera. And it's different. So we have to use an adapter to use our EF lenses. So this would be our regular adapter, just EF to RF, $100. If you look around and find the damn things, they're hard to find and they're super overpriced. It's $400. You'll find one with a built-in variable neutral density filter, which is a huge thing in cinema cameras. Look through there as I turn the wheel, you'll see it gets darker. It's like being able to put sunglasses on your camera. It's an awesome tool for exposure and pretty much necessary for a cinema camera. So we're going to attach that. I keep this one around for low light shooting. Sometimes I'll pop this one on instead in low light, because even with this neutral density filter turned all the way down, it gives you about a stop and a half of ND, even turned all the way down. And if you don't know what that means, then you don't care. But it's just, there's a little bit of darkening going on, even turned all the way down. There's a hair. So my favorite, I usually, I like Sigma art glass. I have some Canon L lens, stuff like that I've used. My favorite lens right now is typically it's the 35 1.4 art lens from Sigma. So that's what we're going to use in our demonstration. The first thing we need to add to our, now this right here, I can shoot all those modes. If I pop in the memory card and the battery, I can shoot 4K, I can shoot 8K, 2K, 1080, you know. 4K up to 120 frames a second. I can do all that, but I got the overheating and the time limits. The time limits are bullshit, by the way. Like I said, they're just built in to cripple it. So we gotta address that. First thing, Lainey, stop. She's growling at the puppies outside. First thing we want to do is add our cage. Now, most of my cage attachments and accessories are going to be from a brand called smallrig. There's also a brand called Tilta. For some reason, I went and bought one from U-Rig or UU-Rig or something, which is just kind of a knockoff. And next time I got like $100 lying around, I'm definitely gonna invest in the one from smallrig, because like the holes on the smallrig accessories and the holes on here, the threads, don't always line up perfectly right and stuff like that, and it just, the smallrig one fits a little better and stuff. But this one's fine, it's good. Does what we need it to do. Comes with this little screwdriver attachment, magnetized right there, so that's nice. So we've got 1/4 20 and 3/8 threads all around it to attach accessories. Cold shoe mount right here. That's one of the big advantages of a cage, is being able to mount accessories on those plates. Most of our stuff is going to be 1/4 20 threads. There's some 3/8. Like I said, the smallrig one also has a few more options. This is the top handle from the smallrig. Goes on top of our cage, and we need an Allen key to attach it, but it's cleverly got one that stores in there magnetically. So you can adjust. They have a lot of handles, a lot of different ones. This is the one I picked. You can adjust how far forward this thing slides forward and back by untightening these. I have it slid a little bit forward so I can grab it with my index finger, like so, and that feels the most comfortable to me. So with this one, attach this. Top handle, it gives you another way to hold it while you're filming, and if you want to shoot in like underslung mode, like hang it down low, get a shot that's from a low angle down by the ground. Maybe you're following someone's feet while they're walking, and you know, tracking them and then moving up, you know, tilting up, whatever. You know, you can do that. If this is the ground, you hold it down by the ground and kind of follow it. But you could mount it as a side handle technically, but this is how we use it. Top handle. Okay, next we are going to, let's put on our side handle. Side handle gives us a little bit more width. This can go on either side, because you can remove this arm here and put it on, you know, swap sides. I prefer it to be over here on the left, I think, because this side already has a grip built in on the camera. Some people put it on there because they only hold their camera like this, and I come from a photography background, so I typically hold my camera like this under the lens and by the grip. But this is a heavy rig, you need to switch things up sometimes. It's nice to have another place to hold it, and this having a wider stance, it makes things stable. Like if you were trying to hold this, a little bit of shake is much more pronounced than something like this. So you can adjust which side it's on. It's got a cold shoe mount on top. You can also slide it up and down so that it fits right where you want it. I've got it set here, so I'm going to screw it in. I'm doing it backwards. No, I'm not. I was looking at that cold shoe mount on the top and getting confused. Now, again, forgot to put this in there, but this also has a hidden Allen wrench in the bottom to adjust those or get that nice and tight. So now we've got our cage, our top handle, our side handle. This would be, if we threw the battery and the memory card in here, we could run and gun with this, you know. We wouldn't even need the side handle. But, you know, why not? We're going to do things right. We're going to go big or go home, right? So next I want to attach my base plate. Oh, hold on. Let's take the rails out so we can talk about that separately. Alright. Base plate. Now, this base plate has, as you saw, those slots for rods. Those are 15 millimeter diameter, 12-inch long carbon fiber rods, or speed rails, I think they're sometimes called. And see, if just a little aside, if I were using the small rig cage like I had talked about, then this has more mounting points, more holes under here that I could attach to, and right now I only have one point of connection, which means this would swivel, except I stuck a it's like a 1/4-20, it's a 3/8 actually, I think, screw in there in front of the cage, so no swivel action. So we're good to go. We've got our base plate on there. Inside the base plate, we insert our 15 millimeter rods and tighten. Something like that. Okay. And on the bottom of that, our Manfrotto tripod quick release plate, so we can just throw it on the sticks when we need to. Perfect. I added an extra screw on here. I'm using a 1/4-20 like normal. Then I'm also using a 3/8 to thread in. Maybe. Into another, since it gives me another, gives me options here. I can put it in 2 different spots. Lock it down in 2 spots so there's no swivel. 2 points of contact. Could be doing with this with that little screw tool that's on the bottom of the cage, magnetized, but I've got this, so. All right, we've got our top handle, side handle, our cage, our base plate, our speed rails, and our quick release plate for the tripod. Now next let's put our monitor on. This is small rig monitor mount. It has these RE pins locking mechanism there. So these pins fit into the holes on the side of that thread. It's got 3/8 thread there that this fits into. We just screw in, the pins lock in, so there's no swiveling. nice and tight. And mount our Ninja. Oops. Upside right. We've got our SSD in there. Okay. Make sure that's nice and tight. And we're good. Now we've got our monitor on there. We can swivel and adjust. Now, why do we need a monitor and recorder? Don't you have a screen on your camera? Don't you have a memory card? Yes. But this is how we get past the overheating and the time limits. We take the image through here, we process it into we take the light in, we process it into a digital image with the camera, and we record it on this. We have an HDMI cable sending a signal out of the camera and into the Atomos Ninja, which is what it's called. It's an Atomos Ninja 5 or Ninja V, depending on who you ask. Like so. So we record on here. We use this to set the camera to set our exposure and everything, frames per second, all our settings and everything. It sends the signal into here. We record on this. Plus, this gives us all kinds of tools to help with our exposure. It gives us, you know, your typical zebras and focus peaking and histogram, but it also gives you things like waveforms, vector scope, and it gives you false color, which is so important, so awesome when setting your exposure correctly. So next, let's put on our microphone. This is the Rode Videomic Pro Plus. The only thing on here that's not powered by our V-mount battery. It has its own rechargeable battery, and cord management is an issue, so you will see me snaking cords in and out of things. In fact, this right here, let's see, that's fine. I have no problem with that one. It's pretty short. So we got our microphone hooked up. Shotgun style microphone. It's going to ignore mostly this stuff around me, like a cardioid pattern or super cardioid. I'm not sure which one exactly, but generally the same thing. That's why they call it a shotgun mic. It's just going to pick up the stuff that's pointed at stuff in front of it. You can also, if we're doing like an interview style, take it off of here, put it on a boom, put it above somebody, and use it as a boom mic. That's what I'll do. But we're building the run and gun rig. For the Atomos Ninja, we have a 2 terabyte Atomex SSD drive. You do not need to buy this brand. It's more expensive. It's a couple $100, and it shouldn't be. You can get memories cheap. You can get regular SSD drives, and this came with a caddy that you can put them in, or you can buy one for cheap. And you just save a lot of money. The difference is it'll be a little bigger and it'll stick out about here or something, but your HDMI cable's sticking out a little bit anyway, so no big deal. But I went ahead and splurged. This is, if you ignore the cord here, that's what a Sony Mpf battery looks like. This is what we call a dummy battery, and we plug it into here, and then we plug our D-tap directly into our V-mount battery, which I guess we will apply next. This is a dummy battery for the camera. Same thing. We're going to plug it into our V-mount battery so that we can power our camera and our monitor off of a V-mount battery. I have 150 watt hour V-mount. We're pulling like I'd say 50 watts of power. So, I mean 15. So, I mean, we're talking like running this thing for 10 hours. Now, let's put our filter and our lens filter and our matte box on there before we do that. This is a screw-on filter inside of a step-up ring. That is a Tiffin, what do we call that? Pro Mist 1/4 filter. What does that mean? It blooms the highlights, kind of softens the skin and some of that digital sharpness, and gives it like a film, old kind of cinema lens look a little bit. It's a stylized thing. You might not want to use it all the time, but I really like it. So I'm usually using it since it's a new toy to me. But let's see, there we go. So you screw on the step-up ring, and then you can screw on a front filter in front of it. You can always put neutral density filters on the front of your lens if you want to, but different lenses have different size front elements, so you'll need different size ones for different lenses, and some have like bulging front elements, especially ultra wide or wide angle lenses, that you just can't put a screw-on filter on. So having this built-in neutral density filter, essentially like putting it behind the lens, every EF mount lens I use I'm always gonna have a built-in neutral density filter, which most cinema cameras have. That's a big distinguisher between a cinema camera and a regular camera. Oops, that's upside down. Yeah, and then this matte box clamps onto that step-up ring that we screwed onto the front element. I'm just trying to get it straight. I'm a little OCD. Alright. Now we have our front element on there. Our front element taken care of. So the advantages of a matte box, obviously it's going to block stray light that you don't want entering, preventing some glares, flares, things like that. And also I can slide filters into here should I need to. Don't yet, but it's new. Put our lens, well, let's save that off for now. Okay, so all that's left, V-mount batteries, right? This is our V-mount battery plate. You'll see where the battery mounts there, shaped like a V. That's where it gets its name. On this side, we have our power on and off switch, 2 USB ports that you can plug into. I believe they're 5 volts apiece. And then we have 15 volt outlet, 12 volt, 8 volt, and 5 volt. We're going to use the 8 volt to power the camera, because it is between 7 or 8 volts, and if you use the full power of the battery, you can fry your camera. So just be careful with that. Don't use too much power. Some people are a little stupid about it. I've seen a lot of people online plugging it in the wrong way. That's just a windsock or a dead cat. We can take off this one if we're going to be outdoors and apply this windsock, windscreen, dead kitten, dead cat thing. Something like that. But I don't find them incredibly useful, especially since if I'm using the shotgun mic on my camera like this, it's not going to be my main source of audio. It's just going to be scratch audio to sync up. I have other shotgun mics, so I can use one to boom, one on here to sync things up with. Maybe pin a lav on even if I need to. Alright, so now we've mounted the battery plate to these rails and put this V-mount battery on there. Now I want to leave a little room between here and the camera so that I can get to my buttons, and this has a touch screen that you can touch to pull focus with. If I want to something in this frame over here in focus, boom, hit that, boom, just use my thumbs to hit whatever I want in focus. So now all that's left to do is cord management. Our camera is going to plug in to the 8 volts here, so we're going to snake it around back to eliminate slack. All right, no slack, Jack. And the Atomos dummy battery, take it this way. Might just run it straight. I don't like that it's in my way a little bit there. Okay, yeah, that seems weird, but what I did there is keep it from covering any of my buttons or controls. So, this is our cinema rig. I'm going to make a little adjustment here. Scoot the battery a little farther up. Actually, scoot the battery a little further back and then move the rails up. It's just fine-tuning, nitpicking stuff now. Keep bumping this lapel mic. I'm not used to using one, so I apologize for whatever that's doing to the sound. Split the difference. Come on, brother. That looks good. Feels good. Balance is good. You get to the buttons. Everything's good. Everything's good. All right. Now we turn on our V-mount battery. Turn on our camera. Turn on our Atomos recorder. Turn on our microphone. These take long presses. I guess that's too bright for you to see. That's my face there. Hey, there you go. Hello. If I want to record it, boop. Hi there. I know that's hard to see, but 2 terabytes of storage on that Mamma Jamma. It's got a 1080 display, but things are recorded in 4K, 4K HQ, the way I have it set it up. We can add LUTs on here, like a lookup table is what LUT stands for, LUT, and that is what you apply to footage to help you color correct it or color grade it. And being able to see it on here while you're filming, not bake it in, so it's not, when you get it on your computer, it's still log, it's still flat and ready for you to edit. But while you're shooting, you get the benefit of monitoring it like it's getting an idea of what it's going to look like once it's color graded. Lost my mic, but I'm done. So that's her. That's Veronica. I'm gonna power her down. Why is it a girl, Kevin? That's a stupid question. Get the hell off my feed. Just kidding. I name things after women. Women are better than men. It's just a fact. I connect better with them personally. All my dogs have always been female. A lot of my best friends, stuff like that. I don't know. It's not some chauvinistic or whatever thing like, you know, I gotta name my car after a girl or whatever, because I ain't gonna ride nothing with a man's name. Not some homophobic or chauvinistic, sexist thing. Just like women better. Is that sexist? I guess maybe in their favor, but it's my opinion. Anyway, Veronica. Isn't she beautiful? It says she weighs 11, 12 pounds. Without this, she weighed, I think it was 8.2 or something. Was the difference between me being on the scale with and without her. So yeah, I'm guessing 10 to 12 pounds. Not as heavy as it looks, but I mean, 10 to 12 pounds is more than you might think. This quick release plate we added to the bottom, if you'll remember. It's easier if you use two hands. We just throw it on the sticks and shoot an interview. This is my baby. It's taken a lot of time and money to build this thing out like this. A lot of effort, a lot of shoots that were underpaid, saving and help from my family. They believe in me. And if I'm serious about something and passionate about it, they've always been super supportive. So, a big thanks to them. I guess that's it though. That's Veronica. That's how I rig her out. That sounds pimpish. That's how I rig her out. That's how I turn her out. No, I love her. Isn't this just, it's like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, I swear. And that's not including people. People aren't things. But as far as stuff goes, oh my God, that's beautiful. And then someday I'll upgrade and have this will become my B cam, and then I'll have something like a C500 Mark II maybe, or that would be nice. At least maybe a C70, or, well, I mean, at that time, who knows what the models will be, but might invest in some cinema lenses next. They aren't as sharp, and you don't have autofocus, and this has amazing autofocus. But, I don't know. Might be interesting. I'm interested in checking it out. Definitely need to invest in more lights. I got one good light, and then some makeshift stuff that I just use, like a work light. It's just a bulb on a cord. I took the shell and clamp off of it, stick it inside of a reflector, 7.5 inch round dish thing goes around it, and put maybe a diffuser on it or something like that, and just have a 60-watt bulb or whatever. I can't control the color temperature or how intense it is, but with this Amaran 100D, I can control how bright it is and everything. And I got a big softbox on there with a grid and stuff, so that's nice. But anyway, I guess that's what the future holds. More lighting equipment, maybe more lenses down the road or something. A gimbal would be cool. I could strip off the Mpf battery and throw it on a gimbal to get different looks with my shots, more cinematic things, smoother stuff. Of course, the IBIS in this camera is another big reason why it's such a draw to me. It's like it's on a gimbal. It's so smooth, so buttery smooth. I mean, just handheld stuff is just so smooth. There's no shake, and that's part of the advantage of having IBIS aside. The internal body image stabilization is what that stands for. A lot of times you'll have IS, image stabilization, in the lens, but to have it in the body is freaking awesome. That means every lens has it. So this has digital IBIS, then it has electronic stabilization. I mean, it's got in regular IBIS, and then it has digital electronic stabilization, which makes it even smooth, like super smooth, but it crops in on the image a little bit. Not too bad. I think it's like a 1.4 crop or something, so you lose some of your field and resolution, I guess. Maybe, I'm not sure about that, but you know, it's smooth as hell. I usually turn that off and just use the regular image stabilization, and it's amazing. But yeah, I mean, amazing video quality. Obviously, I can record in ProRes high quality or ProRes 422, ProRes Lite. I can record in DNX, but I use my Mac, so ProRes edits so smoothly. Even the 4K HQ, just like butter. I mean, no problems editing it, playing back before it's rendering it. And I can edit everything right off the drive. I just plug this thing into the computer, and I don't even have to import it or convert it to a proxy if I don't want to. I can just edit it straight from there. That's very cool. Cuts a lot of time out of your workflow, out of my workflow. It's nice. What else? It has C-Log 1 and 3, which are log capturing profiles. You'll see how this is filming to where it tries to make it look like you see it. There's plenty of saturation and contrast and stuff. A log profile will look very flat. The contrast pulled all out, the saturation pulled all out. You say, why would you film it like that? Because it packs the most dynamic range and color information in there and everything, and the most latitude, gives you the most latitude to play with in post when you're editing it. A lot more dynamic range. If I can film something, you know, in a picture profile like this that's ready to go, but then if I try and edit it afterwards, it's just going to fall apart basically, and it just won't have as much dynamic range. The highlights might be blown out, things like that. Whereas if you record something in log, you're going to have a lot more information in the shadows that you can pull up, and a lot more information in the highlights that you can pull down, so things aren't blown out or lost. You don't lose as much detail. So C-Log 3 gives you the most dynamic range out of those two options. C-Log 1 gives you more dynamic range than a regular flat profile does. C-Log 2 would give me the most. It'd be nice if there would be a firmware update to give us C-Log 2 on the R5. That would be really cool. Now C-Log 3 is a little harder to color grade than C-Log 4. I mean C-Log 1, sorry. Regular C-Log. And I guess C-Log 2 is supposed to be the hardest of all to color grade of those three. But once you get it where you want it, where it just looks amazing, supposedly. So that would be nice. Get a little more dynamic range. I mean, it's hard to find things to complain about with this. I mean, looking at cinema cameras, first of all, it's hard to find one. I come from a photography background. I love autofocus, especially this has face and eye detect autofocus. It will lock on your eye and just track you. So I can use a real shallow depth of field where everything but the subject is blurry in front and behind of them, and it will just track that and just hold on to them. And that's a beautiful thing to me. That's a game changer. So I can just worry about composition, setting up the shot, exposure, and let it worry about focus for the most part. And that's a beautiful thing. Most cinema cameras don't have autofocus, or they have a very basic form of autofocus. Maybe face tracking, if any kind of feature tracking. And it'll usually just be like the center portion here, whatever, something has to be in the middle. If your subject's over here or something, it usually won't track them. Things like that. Cinema cameras, usually because of things like that, you'll have to, a lot of times you'll either pull focus yourself, which can be distracting, or on a set you might have what's called a first AC, or a focus puller, and they will pull focus for you using, they'll have like a monitor hooked up to the camera, be standing over here and just pull focus as you shoot. It's nice not to have to do that. I've been trying to design this for my needs as a one-man show, run and gun kind of thing. My brother will help me as a grip, but he doesn't even know what a grip is. He helps me carry around the lights and set them up and hold them, things like that, carry equipment, and that's awesome. I love him. He's very helpful, and I pay him when I can. But it's pretty much a one-man show, so autofocus is important to me. So to be able to have all this packed into something that I can operate on my own is amazing. It's just awesome. And then you know, the more expensive cinema cameras, you lose that autofocus. But then you'll have like C-Log 2 or whatever, more different log profiles, and then you might have a few extra stops of dynamic range. I wish I had that, I guess, but this has 4K HQ, which not all cinema cameras have. It has 8K, which hardly any of them do. 120 frames per second, 4K, that's pretty rare. So there's a lot of things that this one can do that most cinema cameras can't do. And I rigged it out to be a cinema camera, and it's just, I mean, a full frame sensor on a cinema camera is rare, and it's gonna cost you some money. Like in the Canon line, you're not gonna get a full frame sensor till you go up to like the C500 Mark II, and you're talking $16,000 just for the body, just this piece right here. No lenses, nothing else. This was entire rig. We're talking $7,500, $8,000 for everything on this tripod. $3,900 for the body, maybe $800, $750, something like that for this particular lens. $600, $300, a couple hundred here. You know, I mean, it adds up, but let's see. You getting paid for that Sonic advertisement? This video is sponsored by Sonic. I was gonna make a joke about that, by the way. This video is sponsored to you by Sonic. Brought to you by Sonic, sponsored by Sonic. What's their eating good in the neighborhood? That's not them. I don't know what their slogan is. Get some! Sonic, get some! But, no, the overheating in the camera is mostly due to when you use a CF Express card. If you're not going to be using the Ninja and stuff, you'll have to get a CF Express card, and these things aren't cheap. It's a 256 gig, is about $400. That's a big chunk of that 75, $8,000 we talked about. this adapter here with the built-in neutral density filter, that was $400, like I said. So I mean, it's just money all over the place. But I finally got the rig to where I don't need any Applebee's Sonic collaboration, right? When you're here, your family, Olive Garden, it's not. I'm loving it. That's all I can say. Oh man. What was Carl's Jr.'s old one? If you're not getting it all over the place, it doesn't belong in your face. I guess that's my motto for eating pussy. Anyway, so I've taken this hybrid camera. If you're a photographer, by the way, I cannot recommend this camera highly enough. You'll never hit overheating limits or anything like that, and you can shoot up to 20 frames a second, 45 megapixels, eye tracking autofocus for people and animals, and who knows what kind of firmware updates there will be in the future. But it's an amazing photography camera, but it's also an amazing video camera if you spec it out like this. It has some annoying limits without the Ninja recorder, that built-in cripple hammer time limit of 30 minutes or whatever, and then the overheating stuff that sucks. And there's been a lot of studies. You can trick it after it overheats. If I change the date on it, tell it go from today to tomorrow, and then pop the battery out while it's still on, and pop it back in, that overheat won't. It'll let me go. So I know it's fake, and if I do that a couple of times, it will overheat for real. You can do that like 2.5 times. So we're talking like an hour or so of recording before you're done. This 2 terabyte SSD drive will hold, I mean, we're talking up to like 6 hours or so of 4K HQ footage and sound sampled from 8K. This V-mount battery will power this thing forever until you die. Like 10 hours of like constant shooting. Charge it up in a couple hours and they're good to go. So I mean, this is the way that I've spec'd it out. I didn't, we got some rain and stuff today. I was supposed to shoot. I was really excited about it, starting this project that I've told you guys a little bit about, I guess, and you'll hear more about in the future. I don't want to put too much of it out there, but I was supposed to start shooting with one of my subjects today, and I didn't get to, so that sucked. But the weather is what the weather is. We can't help that, so we'll get to it when we do. In the meantime, I'll do stupid stuff like this to keep me busy and feel productive and creative, and show you guys what I'm doing, why I love this so much. Man, that is so beautiful. All right, I guess that's it. I'm gonna go smoke some weed. Peace.